Step 1 to making an Aztec death whistle. First I started with a handful of clay and rolled it into a ball. It was important to keep the clay warm enough for easy sculpting and also the next step. Step 2 is what makes the death whistle an aerophone, by hollowing out the inside to allow air to pass through. And of course, if you have any sculpting tools, it'll easily hollow it out, but any sharp object works just fine. And once you get the innards out, you have to make sure the inside is nice and smooth, so I just pat it down. Once you get the two bowls, the next step is to combine them. And I know some methods use like a paste with the clay, but honestly I just combined the two and then rolled them together until they were stuck. Next I just poked a hole through it and made sure it was hollow inside. Then with another chunk of clay, it was time to make the whistle part. So I just combined all the clay onto a little stick and rolled it like a corn dog, and then next was to attach it to the sphere. And again, you can use paste to combine the two, but I just used clay where the holes met and made sure that there was a little hole for air to pass through. And next was to bake. I only baked the clay while it was preheating to 350 and only for about 5 to 10 minutes, and made sure that it didn't get too brown or started melting. The next part of the video is me sculpting the actual skull for the whistle, so I'll use this time to talk a little bit about it. Some speculation says that the death whistle was used in sacrifices of slaves, where the sound of the whistle matches the screams of slaves during torture. Other sounds resemble that of wind, which could also be used to pay homage or honor the wind deity during rituals. I'll also use this time to mention that the clay that I'm putting on here right now is still soft clay, which means I'll need to bake it again. But if you could make the whole skull the first time around so you don't have to bake twice, you could also do that. And now I'll skip to a more complete look of the skull after I molded and smoothed everything out. Another important part was to make sure that the whistle could actually blow in between most of these steps, and I think the baking helped the most with that. But even just before baking, you could blow on it and see if any sound comes out. The next step was to bake it again, except this time I only let it preheat to 300 and I did it for even less time, so about 5 minutes. Now the final step was to just paint it and sort of decorate it to where I wanted it to be. And I did go back and forth on how I wanted to paint it, but ultimately I ended up just painting most of it this brownish blackish color. And now that the painting is pretty much complete, the next two clips are me sounding the actual whistle and then bonus of me doing the prototype.